Most students that go into an engineering program were probably toppers back in high school, but it's been found that 40 to 50% of engineering students either end up dropping out or switching majors entirely. And even then, the average engineering GPA hovers around 2.7 to 2.9. So the question is, why? Working as a pretty successful rocket engineer now, things I did well and things I didn't do too well are a lot more apparent, and I'm here to share those insights with you. We can talk about failure as a byproduct of the journey or failure as a byproduct of a poor lifestyle. Let's dive into it. So the first thing I want to say here is that failure is part of the journey. Unless you're a prodigy, you're going to fail at some point during your engineering degree. It's just a part of the journey. You're either going to fail to meet your own standards, meet your parents' standards, or you're just going to fail. It's going to happen. Having grown up in an Indian household, there's a pretty dangerous ideology out there that failure is bad, failure shouldn't happen, and you should feel bad if you fail, when in reality, failure is what creates strong leaders and strong engineers. And these are used as case studies in a lot of leadership courses and master's degrees. Some people I know have been stunted in their career because they just haven't accepted their failures. They haven't learned from their mistakes. They end up blaming extraneous circumstances rather than failing gracefully. In engineering school, you learn failing as an art form. This is something that you just need to get good at. So either you fail and you give in, you get spun up about it, or you rise to the occasion. The best engineers, for that matter, are great at learning from their mistakes. So something I want to say to hopefully put people at ease is that your GPA will not make or break you unless you're like failing every single class or flunking out of school. If it is to that point, maybe you want to consider changing your major or switching to a different discipline in engineering. But regarding GPA, some employers care, some grad programs care, but really it's just a way of getting your foot through the door. These days, GPA is really mostly for internships and research programs, but even then, networking is king. So I'm not saying completely ignore your GPA, don't do that. Don't completely ignore your GPA, but you can focus a little less on the numerical number that you see there, and you can focus more on getting value from the classes you're taking and the degree that you're pursuing. Failure will hurt, but understand it's just a part of the process. This is a pretty hard wake-up call to have, especially as someone that is pretty used to doing well, you know? And this is where the whole idea of imposter syndrome kicks in. To be an engineering student, you need to be dedicated to the craft, to the skill set, and you need to understand that it's not going to be an easy ride. It's going to test you. It's going to adapt. As an engineer, you have a silent pact with society in that you are the forefront of development and progression of civilization. It sounds like I'm making a pretty hyperbolic statement, but it's true. And everything builds on your belief in yourself and the things that you want to do and the things that you're passionate about and want to achieve. If you take a class on RF and you think, yes, this is beyond me, chances are it's probably going to be beyond you. As trivial as it sounds, you want to be in your niche in the right place, but you also need to be your biggest cheerleader. This is easier said than done, but understanding it's a part of the journey and that everyone goes through a little bit of imposter syndrome as this process goes along is the way to succeed from your failures. Just remember, engineering students tended to be high performers in high school. Often they're told that they're gifted and they haven't really experienced the harsh reality that everyone that you're around has the ability to be insanely smart. Some folks are better working with their hands. Some folks are better with math. Some folks are better at talking to people. Finding your niche is the key to success in engineering. I've got a video up talking about reasons you should or shouldn't go into engineering. There'll be a link for it in the description below. If it's something that you're still debating, something that you're still thinking about as a possible path you want to go into, check that video out. It'll give you a little more insight. And ultimately, if you think your niche and your passions are creating, innovating, and solving problems, stick with it. It'll be tough, but your niche stems from your passions and your ambitions. I'm gonna give you a homework assignment from this video. Really sit down and chart out 5 different beliefs and ambitions that you have on a piece of paper. Spend some time thinking about it. Writing it down will help you actualize it, and if you're comfortable with it, share it in the comments below. I'd actually really like to read them. So the last point I want to touch on here stems from that whole idea that engineering students were high performers in high school, and that is work ethic. Let's take myself for example. I did super well in high school, but I was not a good student. I didn't really have time management skills, and I didn't really have a solid work ethic. I just felt like I was naturally good at classes. And maybe that's because I went to a small high school in Kentucky, but this is unsustainable in engineering. Everyone is smart, the competition's fierce, and the wake-up call broke me when I first started doing poorly on exams at college. So it takes a bit to gather the rhythm to be able to develop a solid work ethic. You gotta get good at time management. You gotta get good at understanding yourself and your lifestyle. One big problem that engineering students have is letting themselves develop unhealthy habits, such as being sedentary, not exercising, eating junk food, not sleeping. Building a solid lifestyle is a good way of developing a strong work ethic. So, to sum it all up, engineering students tend to fail a lot, but that's also what makes good engineers. Hell, failing is what drives engineering. We don't know something is a problem until we find something to fix, something to improve. Patching up your weaknesses, or even finding them, takes a certain amount of self-knowledge and self-awareness. This is where mentoring is an immensely helpful tool. I encourage you to go seek out a mentor, whether it's a student that's a grade above you, or someone that's actually working in the field, someone that has a vested interest in seeing you do well. This is a good way to analyze your weaknesses and talk them through. And if you're interested in having me as a mentor, I am taking applicants for my one-on-one coaching program, and there's a link for that in the description below. Adaptation is a part of the process, and this is ultimately why a lot of engineering students fail. But what matters is, do you give in, or do you rise to the occasion? That's it for this video, guys. If you got something out of this video, please hit the thumbs up below and leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I will see you guys at the next video.